Welcome back to the Allegheny Health Network Nightly Sports Call. I'm Josh Taylor, joined in studio by Ron Cook from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and also 93.7 The Fan. Ron, something else I wanted to get into here briefly before we start taking some phone calls and answer some tweets. Very unique story that happened before the Pirate game tonight. I believe the umpire's name was John Tumpane. He might become a household name over the next few days. He did something that probably a lot of Pittsburghers may cheer him for a while, but happening across the Roberto Clemente Bridge, finds a young woman who's trying to jump off and keeps her from jumping off the bridge and essentially saves this young woman's life. It's actually a pretty unbelievable and just completely improbable story, but it's a great story.
I mean, talk about a guy doing his civic duty. He stumbled into this situation, and give him credit for having the sense and the calmness about it to talk her out of this or do what he had to do to prevent a tragedy. Good for him.
And the story is actually right now in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Your colleague, Stephen Nesbitt's the one that wrote it, so by all means, get online and check it out. It's a really, really awesome story about a man who just happens to be in the right place at the right time and saves a young life. But it's a very heartwarming story. Want to get to a couple tweets here before we go to the phone lines. And actually, we have Darla, who actually asked what was the story during the game about that woman. That's the one we were just talking about presently, so hopefully that answered that one for you. In the meantime, let's go to the phone lines. 412-575-2600 is the number. Let's go to Brad in Duncansville. Brad, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hi, Josh. Hi, Ron. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I have a Penguin question and a Pirate comment. I'll give my Pirate comment to you first, Josh and Ron. I like Jose Cerna tonight. He did a great job in right field. I think I would like to see him get more playing time in right field. And my Penguin question is, I would like to, since you said Condon signed today, is that what you said?
Yes. 3 years, $2.4 million with Ottawa.
Okay. I would like, if I was the GM, I would like the Penguins to try to find a forward, Matt Duchene, and go get Brian Elliott for backup goalie. What do you guys think?
Well, appreciate the call. Brian Elliott as an option for goaltender. What do you think, Brian?
Makes a lot of money, doesn't he?
Yes.
I don't know that they're going to spend that high on a backup goaltender. That's just my feel. As far as the Duchene, those rumors are out there. There's been some talk that the Pirates, that the Penguins might be interested in him. I don't know if he'd be happy being a third-line center. He's a really good player. You talk about making a lot of money. He's a $6 million cap hit for this coming season and the one after. If he's happy in that role, I think he could be a fit. If they lose Bonino in free agency, Cullen retires, all of a sudden now you've traded Sundqvist. Your depth at center isn't what it once was. You might have to look now whether you go that high of price for Duchene. I have a feeling I don't know that that's going to happen, but you might need to look for some centers here. If Bonino, to me, he's a real key. If you can bring him back, it's great.
Not to mention, as far as Duchene's concerned, we've seen Mike Sullivan during the course of seasons and even during the course of the playoffs. He will shake lines up if he doesn't like what he sees. So there's a possibility Matt Duchene may start the season theoretically on the third line, and if he doesn't like what he sees in the first month, he might bump up Matt Duchene on the line. Or he might bump someone else down and shift some things around. So it doesn't really have to be married to one particular role if we're talking about bringing in a guy like Duchene for $6 million. But that's definitely something that you keep in the back of your mind as far as building depth, because Mike Sullivan, the one thing about having that depth is like he likes to move things around and shift.
Yeah, but he's not going to bench Crosby or Malkin. No. They're going to be your top two centers. Depending on who the line mates are, he'll move guys around them, but they are your anchors as your 1 and 2 centers. Duchene would be number 3 unless you play him on a wing.
And unless you play him on a wing, and injuries are also a factor as well. I mean, we saw this team without Crosby and without Malkin during periods of the season, and anything can happen in the NHL as far as injuries go. So having a guy like that with the way Mike Sullivan likes to play with his depth, that actually may not be that bad of a move from that perspective. Let's go to Bill in Johnstown. Bill, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Yeah, Josh, this is Bill from Georgetown, and I do want to tell you that I'm so glad that you're there to replace Bob whenever he can't make it. Between you and Ron, you're very knowledgeable sports people. The show runs more smoothly, and also you get more phone calls in. And also there's more enjoyable. So I appreciate the work you're doing. I hope you can keep on doing it. And Ron, also, between you, Ron and Gene, it makes a wonderful show. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Well, thank you for your kind words.
Bill, the check's in the mail. In case you weren't sure, the check is in the mail. We appreciate it. But thanks for the kind words. We don't get those calls too often.
No, not very often.
We got to be appreciative when they come in.
Not very often, that's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's keep rolling on the phone lines. 412-575-2600 is the number. Let's go to Lou in Newcastle. Lou, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hey, what a great story tonight about an umpire that's saving that woman's life from jumping off the bridge tonight.
Absolutely. A pretty awesome story. This is one of those things where life is bigger than the game. I like to remind people of that from time to time. This is one of those kinds of stories, but it really is a heartwarming story. And it looks like that was it for Lou. So Lou's done. So thanks for Lou for weighing in. Let's go back to Twitter here for a second. We have Matt Fargo says, curious how much Josh Taylor paid for that last caller. I can't disclose that information. It's private. Let's go back to the phone lines. We'll go to Brad in Punxsutawney. Brad, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, guys, that's a tough act to follow, those last calls. Hey, my question's for Ron. From your column last week, has there been any more rumor mill flying with the Kessel situation? Are they still kind of looking to deal him, or is that kind of calmed down a little bit? I was just kind of curious.
Well, I don't know that they've ever felt like they're going to be able to, but I've been told they would not mind moving him. He signed for a big hit for a long, long time. And I don't think they were real pleased with how he played most of this season. I thought he was really good for the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, 2.5 rounds. He scored the only goal to beat Ottawa in the one game, and then I don't think he did much after that. I don't think they would be opposed to moving him at all, but you got to find somebody to take that contract, and I don't know that you're going to have an easy time finding someone to do that, and plus give you back what you want.
There are 3 guys that are signed to contracts that have high cap hits for long periods of time. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Phil Kessel. And if you want to try to keep what you have going here for a much longer time down the road and try to regenerate this thing and keep yourself as far as being a perpetual contender, one of those may have to go in the long term. And I would guess if you wanted to take one out of those 3, the first one to go would be Phil Kessel. Got to take a break here. We come back. We'll answer more phone calls and more tweets. Stick around.